Good morning, members of the media and the listening and viewing audiences. My name is Cynthia Graham, Director of Public Relations for the Virgin Islands Department of Education. Thank you for joining us. Today, Department of Education officials will share details of the plan to return students in grades 4 through 12 to in-person learning on January 10th, 2022. Participating in today's press conference is Education Commissioner Raquel Berry-Benjamin, St. Croix Insular Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Carlos McGregor, St. Thomas St. John Deputy Superintendent Dr. Simra D. Brown, and Assistant Commissioner of Education Victor Soam III. Commissioner Berry-Benjamin.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. Good day, Virgin Islands community. I am Raquel Berry-Benjamin, and I'm pleased to come before you today, joined by Victor Soam III, my Assistant Commissioner, Superintendent Carlos McGregor of the St. Croix District, and Deputy Superintendent Dr. Simra D. Brown of the St. Thomas St. John School District, to provide details of the reopening of in-person learning for students in grades 4 through 12, which is scheduled for January 10th, 2022. I am happy to report that with the return of these grade levels to our school campuses, the Virgin Islands Department of Education, with the unwavering support and guidance of the Virgin Islands Department of Health, would have safely and successfully returned all of our students and staff to our campuses since school buildings closed in March of 2020 due to the onset of the pandemic. As you are aware, grades pre-K through 3rd, career and technical education, and special education self-contained students returned to in-person learning since September 7th of this academic year. And they also enjoyed in-person instruction from March to May of last school year. Our students are thriving on campuses, which have been retrofitted to meet all of the requirements by the CDC to be COVID compliant. As we navigate the pandemic, safely returning all of our students to our school campuses has been a goal of this administration. We could not do this without the partnership of the Department of Health. With vaccinations now available to all adults and student populations age 5 and up, coupled with the territory's COVID-19 cases on the decline and more restrictions being lifted, it is the right time to begin moving toward a greater sense of normalcy for all of our students. The Virgin Islands Department of Education has been a leader in safely returning students to campuses long before our counterparts throughout the Caribbean, and in many cases on the mainland. We will continue to lead and innovate as we transform public education in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Parents, students, and educators, I wish to remind you that we are still very much in a global pandemic. We must continue to remain vigilant and maintain the safety protocols of mask wearing, social distancing, and regularly washing hands, along with taking the COVID-19 vaccine in order to ensure that our children can safely learn in person, which is critical to their academic, social, and emotional development. I would like to thank our school administrators, teachers, school monitors, custodial staff, school lunch workers, school nurses, maintenance workers, and all the hard-working men and women of the VI Department of Education for their incredible resilience and commitment to student success as we navigate this road together. Now, I will turn it over to Superintendent Carlos McGregor to share details of his district return to in-person learning on January 10th, 2022. Superintendent McGregor.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning to the Virgin Islands community. As the St. Croix District navigates the 3rd academic year affected by the coronavirus pandemic, we are pleased to update you on our plans to resume in-person learning for students in grades 4th through 12th. Beginning on Monday, January 10th, 2022, all students enrolled at the Muckle Elementary, Ricardo Richards, Alfredo Andrews, Pearl B. Larson, Eulalie Rivera, Claudio Marco, and Juanita Guardian schools will attend classes in person 5 days a week. 7th and 8th grade students at the John Woodson Junior High will attend school in person 2 days per week and 3 days virtually. 9th grade students attending both the St. Croix Educational Complex and the St. Croix Central High School will have 4 days of in-person classes and 1 day of virtual classes each week. 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students at both high schools have 2 days of in-person learning and 3 days of virtual learning each week. Students at the Positive Connections Alternative Education site will attend school 3 days in person and 2 days virtually. Complete details of the aforementioned schedules will be available on the department's website, www.vid.vi, later today. Schedules for students currently attending the St. Croix Career and Technical Education Center will remain the same. These students will learn in person 5 days a week. Our district has invested heavily in an abundance of resources, including plexiglass barriers for student and teacher desks, hand washing stations, automatic soap and hand sanitizer dispensers, temperature check instruments, safety signage, designated isolation rooms, and instructional technology to ensure that our schools are prepared for the return of our students and staff. The Virgin Islands Virtual Academy, VIVA, is a pilot program of the Virgin Islands Department of Education as we seek to establish a permanent online school as part of our educational product. Students in grades 6 through 12 who applied and were accepted into VIVA have been informed and will receive additional information concerning their participation in the Academy prior to the close of this semester. A new component of the Academy now allows for limited numbers of parents to elect to have their children enrolled in VIVA. In order to ensure parents and students are prepared for classes to resume in person, each school will hold reopening orientation sessions. These could be done in person or via pre-recorded videos, as schools will look and feel very differently when teachers and students return. Orientations will allow students to practice the logistics of social distancing, temperature checks, meal distribution, and other aspects of campus life to ensure compliance, efficiency, and safety. Teachers and students will continue to utilize Chromebooks, digital resources, and platforms such as Schoology, Edmentum, iReady, ThinkCentral, and others for both in-person instruction and virtual learning. The instructional focus is to ensure that all of our students are aiming toward mastery of the priority standards. School bus service will continue to be provided district-wide for all students attending school in person. Students are required to dress in full school uniform while on campus. Students continue to learn from home, should wear the school uniform shirt with the appropriate bottom. Parents and students, please be reminded that a mask is now a part of the school uniform and is required to be worn at the bus stop, while on the bus, in class, and while traversing the campus. No exceptions. Outdoor mask breaks are built into the school day for the comfort of students and staff. Under the guidance of the Department of Health, cafeterias will reopen and students will follow a staggered feeding schedule for breakfast and lunch, allowing for appropriate social distancing. Before I turn over to Dr. Simra D. Brown, I would like to highlight some of the St. Croix District successes from the recently completed first marking period of the 2021-2022 school year. 153 students in the 1st through 12th grades had a GPA of 98% or higher at the end of the first marking period. St. Croix Central High School was accredited for the next 7 years by the Middle States Association of Elementary and Secondary Schools. 2 new pre-kindergarten classrooms were opened within the district, one at Alfredo Andrews Elementary and the other at Muckle Elementary. This brings us to a total of 5 pre-kindergarten classrooms across the district, with plans to open more. Schools have maintained a monthly attendance rate of 85% or higher. We have conducted a series of professional development for school administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, and support staff, which contributed to approximately 80% of our student population successfully passing the first marking period with a grade of 70% or higher. We look forward to welcoming all of our pre-kindergarten through 12th grade students back to our campuses beginning the week of January 10th. However, as a community, we must continue to take all the necessary steps to stop the spread of COVID-19, especially during the upcoming holiday season. We thank you for your patience as we work closely with the Department of Health to reopen schools safely. At this time, I will turn it over to St. Thomas St. John Deputy Superintendent Dr. Simra D. Brown to share details of her district's reopening plan. Dr. Brown.
Good morning. Thank you, Superintendent McGregor, and good morning, Virgin Islands community. The St. Thomas St. John District has devised an instructional plan that will benefit both students and teachers as we continue to safely navigate the pandemic. We are eager to welcome the return of students in grades 4 to 12 to our campuses beginning January 10th, 2021. Learn from school. The design of any plan must take account potential risks, the inclusion of resources, and a time frame for implementation. After careful examination with school administrators, teachers, and district staff, the Learn from School option has been deemed the most viable plan for learning continuation. As students return to our campuses, they will be acclimated to new procedures that will keep them safe as they traverse the campus while adhering to the new guidelines and procedures. A series of reopening orientations will also be held for parents and students. In the Learn from School option, our student population has been divided so that students are not on campus at the same time. The following groups are expected to return to school for in-person instruction. All students in pre-K to 8th grade will return to their school campuses full-time, 5 days per week. 9th graders at both Charlotte Amalia and Ivana Udorakin high schools will report to campuses 4 days per week, including Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and they will learn virtually on Wednesdays. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders will report to school campuses 2 days a week and learn from home 3 days a week. Complete details of this schedule will be available on the department's website. That's www.vide.vi later today. Wednesdays will be used to deeply clean between grade level cohorts. Our district has invested heavily in an abundance of resources, including plexiglass barriers for students and teachers' desks, hand washing stations, automatic soap and hand sanitizing dispensers, temperature check instruments, safety signages, designated isolation rooms, and instructional technology to ensure that our schools are prepared for the return of our students and staff. VIVA, Virgin Islands Virtual Academy. The Virgin Islands Virtual Academy is a pilot program of the Virgin Islands Department of Education as we seek to establish a permanent online school as a part of our educational product. Students in grades 6th through 12th who applied and were accepted into VIVA have been informed and will receive additional information concerning their participation in the Academy prior to the close of this semester in December. A new component of the Academy now allows for limited numbers of parents to elect to have their children enrolled in VIVA. Instructional focus. We have met with our administrators, our district and state leaders, and teachers to prioritize the focus of learning by identifying priority standards by grade levels that vertically align with benchmarks that should be achieved. With uninterrupted time on task and a commitment on the part of all stakeholders, we will see academic growth. Busing, uniforms, school lunch, school bus service will continue to be provided district-wide for all students attending school in person. Students are required to dress in full school uniform while on campus. Students continuing to learn from home should wear the school uniform shirt with an appropriate bottom. Students, parents, and students, please be reminded that a mask is now a part of the school uniform and is required to be worn at the bus stop, while on the bus, in class, and while traversing the campus. No exceptions. Outdoor mask breaks are built into the school day for the comfort of students and staff. Under the guidance of the Department of Health, cafeterias will reopen, and students will follow a staggered feeding schedule for breakfast and lunch that will allow for appropriate social distancing. Recent St. Thomas St. John District successes. The St. Thomas St. John District has had a number of successes during the last several months, some of which I will highlight next. We responded to the concerns from the primary teachers who were teaching in two mediums simultaneously. They were teaching face-to-face and students at home. We proudly report that as of this month, there are no teachers in the pre-K to third grade teaching in this hybrid format. Classes are either face-to-face or fully virtual at any given time. All children in all locations of the Sugar Apple Pre-Kindergarten are in school. Over 30 part-time staff were hired since the month of September and deployed to each school to assist with COVID-19 protocols. Our after-school programs and Saturday Academy were launched. Staff were meeting and preparing to receive students. All after-school programs in our schools will be up and running by Monday, November 15th, 2021. We are also elated to announce the expansion of our Gifted and Talented program through partnership with the Center for Talented Youth with Johns Hopkins University. Fifth graders from Julia Sproul, Yvonne Emilina Bowski, and Bertha Seba Shelter Middle Schools will now be included with the 2020-21 cohort of students from Joseph Gomez and Adelita Canquine schools. Our high schools have been toiling with the accreditation process, and we are proudly reporting that Ivana Eudora Ken High School has received re-accreditation status for 7 years until 2028. Go Rays! The Charlotte Amalia High School is expecting a visit from the accreditation team in December. We anticipate resounding positive news from this institution as well. Go Hawks! Lastly, I make a personal appeal to our parents to remain vigilant in understanding the expectation of children returning to school. Encourage them to settle down and focus on learning so that they meet success at every opportunity. All of us at the department remain committed in helping our students navigate through these tough times as we plan for better days ahead. At this time, I will turn it over to the Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Victor Sohm III, to share details of COVID-19 testing and vaccination for students and the Department of Education employees.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Brown. The Virgin Islands Department of Education school nurses and student testing for COVID-19. I want to start by offering a heartfelt expression of gratitude to all Virgin Islands Department of Education school nurses and the Virgin Islands Department of Health for their willingness and selflessness to work collaboratively for training and navigation through the ever-changing COVID-19 pandemic and educating students safely. The Office of the Assistant Commissioner has been working steadfastly with our phenomenal school nurses since April of 2021 on student testing for COVID-19. To that end, the department has successfully partnered with the Department of Health and Affinity Empowering, a United States Department of Health and Human Services contractor, to train and administer COVID-19 tests for public school students while on campus. Please note that these services have been at no cost to the Department of Education, and we genuinely appreciate that. The significance of school nurses testing students for COVID-19 is that the department no longer has to wait on parents to submit test results or forget to submit them. Furthermore, it enhances our contact tracing abilities and allows for the implementation of greater safety measures for students and staff. School nurses have been trained by the Department of Health, Drs. Brett and Esther Ellis, Dr. Marlon Lawrence, and staff on administering the Binex Now rapid antigen test. The antigen test is a convenient and relatively reliable test for a duration of 15 minutes approximately to include test results. No laboratory submission is necessary, as results are received on the spot. This test is used for students exhibiting COVID-19 symptoms only. The department has a system in place where students that present with COVID-19 symptoms are quarantined in an isolation room at their school until the school nurse can test the student, if parental consent has been previously granted. COVID-19 symptoms in students present as fever or chills, coughing, nasal congestion or runny nose, new loss of taste or smell, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, diarrhea or vomiting, stomach ache, tiredness, headache, muscle or body aches, and poor appetite. The other type of testing performed by school nurses is PCR or polymerase chain reaction testing. Training and test supplies for PCR testing are provided at no cost to the Department of Education and the Government of the Virgin Islands by Affinity Empowering. PCR testing is used only to survey the student population and required for school reopening by the Department of Health. It is strongly recommended by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC. PCR testing was piloted at the Alfredo Andrews Elementary School on St. Croix and the Yvonne Milner Balsky Elementary Schools on St. Thomas in October of 2021. It will be performed on 10 to 15% of students in every school per month, starting in December 2021. Completed test results are mailed to Affinity Empowering, and results are available online or via text to parents within 24 to 36 hours by Affinity Empowering. Conducting surveillance testing allows the Department of Education and the Department of Health additional contact tracing and the ability to track trends in schools and communities. All COVID-19 student testing requires an annual, one-time signed parental consent form. There are 2 parental consent forms for systematic and surveillance testing distributed to superintendents and school principals for duplication and redistribution to parents. The consent forms were also translated into Spanish and will also be translated into Haitian Creole. They can also be found on the department's website, vide.vi, under the COVID-19 tab. Parents and guardians who decline testing for their children from the Department of Education must have their child or children tested by an outside provider and submit a negative COVID-19 test after quarantining in order for the child or children to return to school. VIDE vaccination rates and campaign drive. As of October 27, 2021, The Department of Health has analyzed data that reveals education employees' vaccination rates as follows. In the St. Thomas St. John district, vaccination rates at this time are at 49.81%. In the St. Croix district, it is at 46.86%. The total territory-wide at the Department of Education for vaccinated employees is 48.3.1%. This analysis represents an increase in employee vaccination of 6.2% from September 16, 2021. Certainly, this helps to bring to fruition the old Crucian saying, one fill basket. In June 2021, the department partnered with the Department of Health again and the Office of the Governor in a vaccination campaign geared toward Department of Education employees. In mid-September, the American Federation of Teachers, Local 1825 and 1826, partnered with us for a vaccination drive on St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. A total of 21 employees department-wide and 2 junior high school students were vaccinated as a result of that drive. The department sincerely appreciates the support of the American Federation of Teachers as we work towards a common goal of ensuring education employees and union members are vaccinated. The department will now focus its attention on a vaccination drive for students ages 12 to 18. We are assured that the Department of Health and the Office of the Governor will again join in this effort. We will reconnect with the American Federation of Teachers and the USVI PTA Council for their support as well. Finally, the department continues to encourage and promote staff and student vaccination. The department enforces the territorial mask mandate. Face masks are a part and parcel of the school uniform, on the school bus, and school activities. Now, if you can please turn your attention to the Commissioner of Education, to Cynthia Graham, our Public Relations Director. Director Graham.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing that important information. We hope that our parents, our students, the general public, we hope that you found that information valuable. At this time, we will open the floor to questions from members of the media who are joining us. I believe we have Lasiba Knight of the St. Croix Avis on the line. Lasiba, are you there? Okay. Yes, okay, at this time we will open the line again for members of the media who are joining us. Lasiba Knight of the St. Croix Avis. Okay, I believe we have Ernest Gilbert of the VI Consortium on the line. Ernest, if you're there, please go ahead with your question.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Good morning. One question, just a clarification from Mr. McGregor's comments. I realized St. Thomas's reason for, I suppose skipping a day or two, or tearing the schedule from a few days in person and a day or so virtual, a tiered approach there. I'm not sure. I didn't hear that from Mr. McGregor, and I was wondering whether that is because the department wants to certain classrooms are sanitized and whatnot. Can we get an explanation as to the reason for the tiered approach relative to a few days in person and virtual?
Okay, thank you for the question, Ernest. Students in K-8 in the schools that I mentioned, all of them will be in school 5 days a week, full time. Students at John Woodson, for example, the 7th graders will come to in-school instruction Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday will be the day for deep cleaning, and then 8th graders will come Thursday and Friday. And then the following week, it switches where 8th graders will come Monday and Tuesday, Then you have a Wednesday for a deep cleaning, and then Thursday and Friday will be the 7th graders. There's no difference between the St. Croix and St. Thomas districts. It's just a difference in wording. You can see the exact schedules on vide.vi.
All right. I have to be, it's a little, so the one day that is used for deep cleaning, how is that made up? I'm sorry, if you would clear
No,
that up.
the students will be learning online. It's just that the campus will be closed for deep cleaning. That's the Wednesday of each week. But students
Right.
they'll have 2 days instruction on the campus, but they'll have 3 days virtual instruction.
So all students will have 2 days virtual and 3 days in person?
That's for the high schools, yes.
That's for the high schools.
Right. Elementary
And
schools
okay.
will be 5 days in person.
Okay. And so, and that is both districts.
Correct. Yes.
And I suppose a quick follow-up with that to that would be, do we foresee, or when rather, do we foresee a 5-day in person for the high school students?
Well, currently, the high schools have 900 plus students. So, we have to have the proper social distancing in place. So that is why we had to divide the campuses into the different cohorts. As we proceed, and we may be able to lessen some of those things, we'll look at that schedule. But for right now, it's just for the proper social distancing to happen.
Okay. And so the rationale behind the high school students having the tiered approach there is because of the population.
Correct. You have over 900 students just about in every high school in the Virgin Islands. And we have to make sure that we have the proper social distancing, not just on the campuses, but on the school buses as well.
Do we have an understanding of how many students in the lower grades?
How many students in the lower grades?
Yeah, so the students that are below high school level, because you mentioned the rationale there is because the high schools are so large. Just
Sure.
trying to get an understanding.
Yeah, the typical elementary school in St. Croix have about the highest of about 400, within the 400 range, and the St. Thomas about 600 in St. Thomas.
Junior high.
At John Woodson, we're expecting a little over 500 students, and that's why we're doing the AB cohort at John Woodson Junior High School.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. That's it.
You're welcome.
Ernest, I'm sorry, are there any further questions?
No, thanks. That was it.
Okay, great. I think we also have Lasiba Knight joining us from the St. Croix Avis. Lasiba?
Hi, good afternoon, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I just have 3 quick questions. How many students have applied for Viva, and what is the planned size of the whole academy?
I know that, good morning. In the St. Thomas St. John district, we have approximately 94 students that applied for the Viva program.
Awesome. And on St. Croix?
Yeah, we have approximately 90 students who applied and accepted into the Viva program.
And are there plans for it to become larger than that? More than 200 students, or?
There's certainly a possibility of it growing. Acceptance for individual instances, students will be accepted, yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. And then has the department tracked whether the rate at which students are dropping out of school increased during the pandemic? And can you tell me whether senior graduation rates have gone up, down, or remained the same since before the start of the pandemic?
Commissioner?
Yes, our last data indicated that our graduation, our dropout rate rather, our graduation rates increased and our dropout rates decreased. As a matter of fact, what we can do, Lasiba, is send you our latest dropout rate so that you have those specific numbers. I don't have it here with me, but we definitely had a decline in our dropout rates based on our last data.
All right, perfect. And then this is just like a little general housekeeping. It's been a long road to getting students back in classes. And I was just wondering if we could go over some of the specific challenges that had to be overcome. And if there's any triggers that the department is looking at, like red lines that would send us fully back virtual, if there's anything that parents should be, keeping their eye on as we continue to deal with the pandemic.
Commissioner?
I'm sorry, Lasiba, can you repeat your, I think you had two questions in one. Repeat your first question.
So the first half is if we could go over specific challenges that the department had to overcome to get here, because, it's been a long road and we sent the elementary kids back first, and then we've had to do a lot of testing. You've done pilot testing in the background for how many students would have to get antigen, and there's a lot of things that have been going on and had to be overcome. And so I'm wondering if we could go over that. And then on the flip side, if there are any red lines that the department has their eye on in terms of, if cases go over a certain amount, just things that parents should be aware of as, we're all in a society together and we have to keep our eyes open.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question, Lasiba. There are several challenges, and I'll name the two top challenges. First of all, it's our mindset. We had to have a shift in mind in this global pandemic. It's very new to all of us, as well as the education levels of all of us and our understanding of the virus. So educating ourselves as well as others has been a challenge for the department, mostly our employees, parents, teachers who have to come in and work with several students. So the shift in mind and having an open mind to learning more about the pandemic has been our greatest challenge. On top of that, getting the resources. We have an abundance of cash from our federal government, and that funding initially, of course, was advertised, and we had to fight with the perception that the funds were available when it was announced. But federal funding goes through a process. When those funds became available, then of course we had to go through the next challenge of getting, ordering and receiving, procuring those items, which of course were in shortage globally. So we've had several challenges leading up to this point. Our school districts worked very hard with existing federal funds. They tailored those funds. They made adjustments, budget modifications. They procured internet cards for our students, laptops, the necessary resources, although many of them were delayed from backlogs in manufacturing companies. We are here today because we took the time to work hard and we took the time to track and monitor those companies so that they know we in the Virgin Islands were very serious about getting the safety resources to reopen our schools. So there are a number of challenges, but I would say those were among the top. Right now, the biggest challenge is having our employees and parents get vaccinated, as well as our students. Again, students ages 5 and up can be vaccinated. We encourage you to get vaccinated. It can only help us keep our schools open, as well as in person, by the way, as well as our offices to continue education. Thank you so much for your question, Lasiba. Did we lose you?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. No, I'm here. And if I could just piggyback, sorry if I'm abusing my time, but I was just wondering if that 50% vaccination rate, which we haven't really hit in either district, if the department is comfortable with that, or if you're trying to, get to a higher number.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're not comfortable with 50%. In working with the Department of Health, clearly they have percentages that they're seeking as well within the Department of Education. 70% at this point is our target. And once we get to 70%, and of course this is all in communication with the Department of Health, we'll feel in a better place. Right now, 50% is not comforting.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your candor. Have a wonderful day.
You're most welcome.
Okay, thank you so much to the St. Croix Avis and VI Consortium for joining us today. And again, to all of the listening and viewing audience, thank you for joining us. And as we said earlier, that the plan will be available, the reopening plan will be available on our website, vide.vi, later this afternoon. So we encourage parents, students, or educators to please visit the website for additional information. And again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We'll see you soon.